Priceless PT for an interview and to have a chat about everything, you know, wellness coaching and health and fitness and everything. And I just can't wait to hear some of your wisdom to share with my tribe of ladies too.
Thank you so much for having me, Danny. I'm really glad to be here.
Fantastic, cool. So the number one thing that I wanted to start with talking to you about today is I met you at Lorna Jane at the Active Living Room a fair few months ago now, and you were talking about like a one-day detox for your mind. So everybody's always talking about detoxing your body and you know, getting skinny through food and all that type of thing. And I'm a huge believer in, you know, being fit and healthy and from the inside out. That's my whole business, is empowering women from the inside out. So I'm a strong believer in having a really strong mind and things like that. So can you tell us a little bit more about the detoxing your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so true. We detox our bodies and we detox our house, but very rarely do we actually sit down and create the silence to detox our mind. So the one-day mind detox essentially is a really simple practice of taking half an hour to an hour out where you sit with your journal and you just get out on paper all of the negative thoughts that are consuming you. Because our thoughts 90% of the time are repeating, and we repeat them day in, day out, and it affects how we feel. And until we deal with them, until we question them or find out where they come from, we can start to think that they are us, and the truth is that they're not. So your negative thoughts are simply just your past experiences being brought into the present moment, and that's all thoughts are, past experiences brought into the present moment. The problem is that your ego is preventing you from getting rejected, feeling hurt, feeling unloved, because it didn't like feeling that way back in the past when we did something or something happened that made us feel that way. So in order to protect us from feeling those things, it holds us back with these limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs, such as I'm not good enough, I won't put myself out there, I'll play small, I won't speak up. So we start to hold ourselves back, especially as women, so that we can avoid these situations where we might get hurt and rejected. So get out on paper everything you believe to be true about yourself in the area of your relationships, your body, your career success, money, and you're going to start to notice just how negatively you view the world. And it's going to feel a little bit yucky, and it needs to feel yucky, because until we become aware of how our mind's operating and then we begin to own the thoughts, only then can we start changing it. So the next step in the one-day mind detox is starting to bust those beliefs that you have. You can go as deep as you like. You can go back and find out, where did this limiting thought come from? Was it my mum's? Was it my dad? Did something happen to me where I created it? Because remember, every thought is directly linked back to an event in your past or your childhood. Or you can literally just say, I don't want to play that story anymore. I don't want to play the story of lack and scarcity and poverty. Or I don't want to play the story that I'm not good enough and I can't achieve my dreams. And then you're going to switch it around by starting to create a different story. And that's where the third step really is, what do you want to believe instead? What do you want to be saying to yourself on a daily basis? And I'm a big believer in affirmations. The spoken word has so much power in it. But I'm not a believer in general affirmations. I don't believe that if you're not confident and you repeat 1,000 times a day that you're confident, you're not going to believe it, because you know inside that you're not. So when you start writing out these positive beliefs, you need to write them in such a way that you can be open to believing them. So let's take, yeah, you go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so for example, what would you do for that? Like, how would you be able to differentiate between the general and, you know, the positive affirmation?
Yeah, really great question. So I've created these elements called bridging affirmations. And what they are is you put them at the beginning of the positive affirmation, which opens up your mind to maybe believing what comes after it. So a bridging affirmation is one of three things. You either write, I give myself permission, I'm open to, or I allow myself to. So if, say, I am not confident is one of them, it's a big one, then rather than screaming from the rooftops, I'm confident, you might say, I open myself up to just being who I am. Now, when you write these new positive beliefs or affirmations, I also don't believe that you should write the opposite, because that's a direct conflict of what you feel inside. So when I've just taken I'm not confident to I'm open to being myself, or I give myself permission to be who I am, you can see how if you did that, then you might build some confidence around accepting who you are. So that's the 3-step Mind Detox process. Gosh, I could go on so many other levels, but as a really simple tool, especially at this time of year when we need to reflect on the past year and start making some changes in ourselves, it's a really good process to do.
Yeah, that's perfect, Debbie. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. And I really hope that, you know, some of the girls that are listening to us today sit down and take the time to write things out. I know recently because I've been recommended to do it. I'm actually studying my NLP at the moment, and so journaling is just, it's been the hardest thing
awesome.
I've ever had to do to start with, because I guess before I started this process of, you know, knowing my limiting beliefs and all that type of thing, I just didn't want to know about my feelings, and I ignored my feelings, and you know, that's why lots of people get to where they are, I guess. And the journaling, I strongly believe that, you know, that's, once you get it down on paper and you have to look at it and go through those horrible times of thinking, oh my goodness, I am being so negative in my life, the other side is really exciting. So that's where I am there. So there was another thing that you spoke about. You know, how do you said when we were at Lorna Jane, how do you overcome your past-driven life? And you're talking about, you know, a lot of people are wanting instant gratification, and you said, you know, in your previous jobs, you know, you were very much instant gratification, and then there is another thing called delayed gratification. I'd love you to sort of describe that a little bit more.
Really good point. So many times with women or with human beings, I think it was Viktor Frankl who said that if man can't find meaning, man will go for pleasure. And I see that so often. If we don't create a life of meaning, we turn to instant gratification of binge eating or unhealthy shopping and spending, all these things that bring us immense pleasure and joy in the moment, but in fact are detrimental to our long-term goals. So delayed gratification, any type of person who wants success in their life really needs to embody this delayed gratification principle, because creating these longer term goals, everything you want to achieve takes time. Everything you want to achieve takes a little bit of hustle, and it's a process. So, and this goes down to even changing within. So rather than in the new year, when you enter into this new year and you make your goals, be mindful of, one, be realistic with time and know that it's all a process. And two, let's take saving, for example. If you want to save $10,000 by the end of next year, those little instant gratifications of gossip magazines, of a lunch here and there with the girlfriend, and not putting a limit on what you're spending can leak away money and prevent you from getting to the end of next year achieving your goal. So look at, in your reflection, look at some of those instant gratifications, behaviors that you're doing which you know are just serving your ego in the moment, but in the long term they're not going to achieve your goals. Now, a really important point here is you need to know where you want to go. So you can't really use this principle unless you have really clear goals set out for your life, because otherwise we get to that point where we have no meaning and we have no vision, and we turn to alcohol or drugs or partying or the things that just make us escape and make us find pleasure in the moment.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really good. And so with, like, the 3 points, I'd love you to give us 3 points that you'd like everybody to go away with today, that they can start leading into the life that, you know, they start setting their goals and feeling like that they can get to that delayed gratification and believing in themselves and sort of overcoming some of their limiting beliefs, you know, one step at a time, and then eventually all of them, hopefully. What would be your 3 main points that you would give to the girls today?
Yeah, cool. My 3 main points. I think the first one, before you move forward, you've got to go back. It's what I base my whole business and mentoring on. So do the mind detox, do the reflection work where you really look at this year and notice what hasn't worked for you. Where have you allowed unhealthy behaviors like procrastination, laziness, the instant gratification, where have you spent too much money, where have you spent too much wasted time, and really recognize what these behaviors are, because I'm no mind reader, but I guarantee that those behaviors, unless you've looked at changing them, have followed you for years and years and years. And so many times we create New Year's resolutions, but what we're doing is trying to change the outside, when the truth is we need to change the inside first, because our lives are a reflection of who we are. So spend the time to reflect on all that didn't work this year before you even think about creating some New Year's resolutions. And when you do move into the new year and you start creating those goals, within those goals needs to be some ownership and responsibility for how you behaved this year, and starting to make those changes within yourself. The second tip would be my biggest success tip. It's the one that's worked for me. There's only two ways that you can show up in life. The first way is unresourceful. And under the unresourceful banner, we've got victim mindset, blame, complaining, unhappiness, stuck in our circumstances. Basically, this mindset is full of all of the reasons and excuses as to why you can't do what you want to do. And so many of us can go through life stuck in these perpetual reasons and excuses, when if we gave that same energy to creating results, we might actually be achieving our dreams. So that brings me to the second side, which is resourceful. So when you show up resourceful, you're empowered, you're results driven, you have vision and purpose. Every day you're doing one thing to achieve your goals, and you don't see problems as obstacles. You see problems as possibilities, because I truly believe that that's all problems are. We can either see it as a problem and go back into unresourcefulness and victim and why me, or I'm a failure, or we can see it as a chance to, where do I need to define my character and refine my character? Do I need more love, understanding, patience? Do I need to upskill, up-level, learn more, become resourceful? I guarantee if you look at your problems in life, there's a hidden lesson in there, and the lesson is for us to learn and grow into a better version of ourselves. But far too often we see it as a problem, and we just stay stuck in our circumstances and stuck in our old mentality. I'm a big believer that all of us have a calling and a purpose to live out on this earth, and let's just say that your calling and purpose is 1 or 2 years ahead of you. Well, the person that you need to be in those 2 years is not the person you are now. And your purpose and calling can't be given to you unless you become the person that needs to fulfill that. And the way that we become it is by learning from those perceived problems and obstacles. So yeah, check where your state is. Are you being resourceful or are you being unresourceful? There's only ever 2 ways to show up, so you need to catch yourself. And my third tip to take away would be, don't listen to your self-talk. Don't listen to fear. Push through resistance. The one thing I've learned from successful entrepreneurs and New York Times best-selling authors is that inspiration doesn't just hit you and come. Inspiration is something that when you push past fear and push past resistance, you create your best work, whatever it might be. And it's not that these successful people or these New York Times bestsellers don't have resistance and fear. They've just learnt that you need to push through. So that's the 3 things that I would recommend moving into the new year that have completely transformed my life and worked for me in creating a life of my dreams.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie. I really appreciate you coming and spending some time with me today to be able to share some of your amazing knowledge with my tribe and everyone that's following me as well. I know that everybody would probably want to hear a bit more about you, and I'll just let everyone know you can see Debbie on in the Women's Fitness magazine. She's the resident wellness coach, and also you're debbiespellman.com.au. Is that correct?
debbiespellman.com.
Oh, .com, sorry, so no AU, so debbiespellman.com. And she's got some amazing retreats that I've been watching that she takes girls on and things like that, so go check her out. And if you want to check me out, I'm pricespt.com, and we're on Facebook as well. Thank you so much, Debbie, and I can't wait to catch up with you again soon.
No problem, thanks for having me, it was so good to chat.
Thanks, Debbie.